transmitted from one person to another. Now we have several modes. Let's continue with our lesson. We have several modes by which communicable disease can be transferred. That's what you can see on the slide there. The first thing there is airborne. It can be transferred through the air, through droplet infection or dust infection. When an individual sneezes, transmitted from one person to another. Now we have several modes. Let's continue with our lesson. We have several modes by which communicable disease can be transferred. That's what you can see on the slide there. The first thing there is airborne. It can be transferred through the air, through droplet infection or dust infection. When an individual sneezes, there are some droplets from the sneeze, and the moment it drops on any surface, and that's why it is always been, when anybody is sneezing, they will always tell the person either to cover his mouth, cover to the nose, or you in front of the person should move away so you don't contact it from that individual. That is airborne what? Diseases. And not only that, there are lots of diseases that can be transmitted through the air. Gift, can you try, please, mention some of those diseases that can be transmitted through the air? Yes, you are on, we are listening.
Cough.
You said?
Cough.
Yes, common cough. What other ones? That's a other disease can be transmitted through the air. We are listening to you. Speak to the mic, please.
Stop.
Yes, what did you say? You said?
So I don't hear you clearly.
I said, what other disease can be transmitted through the air? What other communicable disease can be transmitted through air? Can you hear me now? Speak to the mic. We can hear you. Adindu is not responding. Angela, what other disease can be transmitted through air? Okay, I can see some persons responding. Excel is responding, cough. Adindu Prosper is responding through the chat box, flu. Okay. It's also telling us through Qatar. Then Tetan is also telling us Qatar. Okwelu Emmanuel. Okwelu Emmanuel is telling us coronavirus. Now let me ask you, can coronavirus be transmitted through air? That's Ari. Ari is saying yes. Emeka is saying no. Now, in order not to waste our time, coronavirus cannot be transmitted through the air. It's not an airborne disease. Do you get that? It's not an airborne what? Disease. Coronavirus is not an airborne disease. The sensitization on coronavirus has always been telling us we should try as much as possible to keep our hands clean, always washing it every now and then, because we wash what? Our mouth, nose, or our eyes with our hands. So coronavirus is not a airborne disease. Emily, Ari, use the chat box so I can. In what area? The question is, coronavirus airborne disease? So you can check it from the chat box there. That was a question I asked. And a lot of persons said yes, while some said no. But from indication and from the sensitization received so far as regards coronavirus, we discover it's not an airborne disease. It's only when it deposits on surfaces and then contact with that surface, allowing that either your hand reaching the surface, allowing it to reach your eye, your mouth, and your nose. That is when there is a contact. Such an individual contacts such diseases, the virus. Now, waterborne disease, there are lots of parasites, vectors in the water bodies, most especially that can infect organisms, different man as a living being also can be affected through waterborne disease. You can see Ari saying typhoid. Yes, we have typhoid. It's one of those waterborne disease. Cholera, Tobori is saying cholera. Good. I can see Emeka saying gonorrhea, tetanus, cholera, diarrhea. That's Shiobi is saying diarrhea. Adeno prosper, dysentery, Ogenovo, exhale, diarrhea. Yes, thank you for all your contributions so far. We continue from there. So contaminated food can also transmit communicable diseases. Contaminated food transmitted by flies, dirty hands, night soil. So what are those? Okay, mention those diseases. Mention those diseases that can be transmitted through food. Use your chat box. Disease that can be transmitted through food. Disease that can be transmitted through food. I can see Emily is asking a question. It says, sir, what of HIV? What of HIV? HIV is a sexually transmitted disease. It's a sexually transmitted disease, and that is under contagious diseases. See that under contagious sexually, it's a sexually transmitted disease per se. Now, stomach pain, good. Stomach ache, food poisoning, that's by Emeka is saying food poisoning, stomach ache by tetanus. Shiobi is also saying stomach pain. Emeka is mentioning vomitis, contact or contagious diseases spread by the skin contact. This is where with the skin contacts. Let me give you a clue. We have one of it is rashes. So any other idea? Chobi is also saying chicken pox. Emeka ringworm. Tetan is saying Ebola. Omika is also mentioning measles. Ari smallpox. Keanu is mentioning measles as well. Esophi measles. Emmanuel Soronadi smallpox. Someze ringworm. Good. That's a welcome idea from there. Infinite Note 5 is coming in. Please try to rename. If you know you didn't join the meeting with your name, please try to rename so we can identify everybody. Good. The last aspect on this slide is animal bites. Animal bites. What are those kind of animal bites that can lead to disease? Yes, eczema. Again, we're talking about those contact with skin. Eczema is mentioning eczema. Now, rabies, Sumeze is also making mention of rabies. It's also a very good contact. Now, for animal bites, that's rabies. Adeno prosper rabies. Soronadi, tuberculosis. How can animal bite cause tuberculosis? Soronadi. Ogenovo, yes, Ogenovo is specifying that rabies from dog bites. Emily, how can Lassa fever cause? How can an animal bite cause Lassa fever? We also have good. We have Tetan is mentioning poison from snake, that's from snake venom. Sleeping sick. Good. Now, let's continue. We have a good number of persons that have responded to that question. So let's quickly move on to the next slide. So we have disease transmission of non-communicable diseases, and of which we have in class where before the school went on vacation. Number one, we have the physiological failure of the tissues, the chemical or atomic fallout, the malnutrition, dietary imbalance, or congenital problem, or emotional disorder. And one of these emotional disorder, we have phobia, psychosis, and many others among the majority. Now, let's quickly consider consequences of contracting diseases on individual. What are those consequences of contracting diseases on individual, consequences of contracting diseases on the family, and then the consequences of contracting diseases on the society? Now, if you look at your slide, if you look at your screen there, you see number one, there is saying disturbance to family and marital for of contracting these diseases. It could lead to disturbances either to the family or marital functioning. Impotence is a very good example. Impotence can distort and even destabilize the family. Barrenness is another very good example. Imagine sexually transmitted disease can cause this, leading to impotence. Any sexually transmitted disease can also cause barrenness. So all these aspects of emotional disturbances, you don't know what to do, or demise of family member or loved one, and then that individual has just lost a loved one, so downcast, depressed, can cause disturbances in the family. The second aspect is destruction of profession and personal life. Imagine that individual that has just been still feeling it. So automatically he may not be able to even focus on the work, thereby causing destruction of what? Profession. At worst, if somebody is responding the discouragement, yes, sometimes it can bring about a situation whereby the company or the organization where the person is working can decide to say, we'll relieve you so that you can have adequate time to yourself. And you can see another problem cropping up as a result of what? Sorry. Some terminal disease like cancer, suffering from some kind of like a this disease, what's the name? Yes, Shobi is mentioning regret. Imagine an individual suffering from cancer, terminal disease. Then every now and then they begin to buy drugs, asthma, an asthmatic patient in a family. Every now and then they're always spending on drugs just to keep that individual stable, to keep the patient stable. So all these are consequences of contracting any form of these diseases on an individual, family, and society. We also have attention deficit hyperactive disorder. I call it ADHD, if you look at it on the slide there. Imagine an individual suffering from this kind of disease and then give adequate attention. How can this person be attentive? How can this person gain maximally from the lesson? It will be quite difficult. Why? Because of the problem, attention deficit, hyperactive disorder is not composed, is disturbed. So as a result of this, he may not be able to even gain anything from any lesson, any class. So it's really a problem on such individual. Social skill problem is also another thing. We have some persons, they have problem just, okay, but a very good example is you have an electronic, just develop just a little fault, something you can just lose, fix things together, put this here, join this to this, and then it's working again. But he has problem with losing, even to handle the screwdriver is a problem on its own. So as a result of this, those persons coming in, you're welcome. But if you know you are not using your name, please try as much as possible to rename so I can identify you. Those ones that are just coming in, I can see some persons coming in. Just accepted some persons. I just admitted some persons coming in now. Infinix Hot 5 has not renamed yet. Please try to rename. Gioni S6S, I can see. Please try to rename. And those of you using the different name from the name you are recognized with, please try to change so that we can benefit maximally from the lesson. Now let's continue. Now, academic difficulty is also another thing. Academic difficulty. Ability to comprehend. You are reading, imagine you are reading a line 10 times. You are not getting it. You are finding it difficult to assimilate. That's academic difficulty. And this can result from emotional disturbances, psychosis, can result from some psychological disorder. It can even result from malnutrition, dietary imbalance. It can result from physiological failure of the tissue. It can also result from chemical and atomic fallout. Both communicable and non-communicable have its consequences. Has its consequences on every individual, on every society. Seventh aspect there is long-term negative outcomes such as lower education and employment. So all these culminate to be consequences of what? Both communicable and non-communicable disease on individual, on the family, and on the society at large. Now we can see some disease prevention. There are lots, but just to mention a few. Those ones you can see on the slide. We have sanitation to avoid diseases. Some of these communicable disease and non-communicable disease, we have sanitation, keeping your environment clean, keeping your house clean, sweeping the floor, clearing the bushes around to avoid snakes around, even mosquitoes, breeding of mosquitoes. Now, when we're treating malaria, if you can still flash back, when we're treating malaria, we talked about mosquito, breeding spaces for mosquitoes. We talked about how mosquitoes can be, mosquito bites can be prevented through what? Removal of any container, anything that can retain water. That was why I told you the other day then. I said any little container that retains, no matter how little the water may be, mosquito breeds in it. Before you know it, you see them lay their eggs inside, no matter how small that liquid. And it also has to do with orientation. And you give a public enlightenment. All these are ways of preventing what? Diseases. Choice of life partner. Imagine an individual sleeping here and there. He stands the chance of contracting sex of concentration that have been able. Now, for the benefit of those that are just coming in, those that are just joining us, earlier before you come in, where the lesson started, the class started, I told you, hope you can all hear me. Yes, I can see peace. Two guys coming in, good. Now, if you can hear me, I want to quickly run through the slide from the beginning for those that are, for the benefit of those that are just coming in. So quickly run through note. Now, that's family health. So you can just screenshot, after which at a later time, probably after the class, you can copy the note. So that even after the class, you can still at the same time. Now, if you are done with the copying, please, with the screenshots, you can give me a wave. Just wave your hands You are done with the screenshot. Just wave your hands. Some persons are still battling with it. Please try to screenshot the slide so I can. Now, how many of you can see what is on the slide, please? Okay, you can see. Now let me share my screen here. And you should be seeing what is on the slide now. If you can see, wave your hands. You can see what is on the slide. Please wave your hand. Good. Shineye is waving her hands. Yes. Emeka is also waving his hand. Miracle is waving her hands. Good. So if you guys we are going to consider, we may not be able to finish them today, but in our subsequent classes, we'll be able to do what? We'll be able to finish up with them. So we'll be taking them gradually, one after the other. There are not these areas of concentration, not only what I've observed in the past questions. I discovered there are some areas from evaluation done in class while you people were still in school. Some evaluations I did, I discovered there are some areas that you are a little bit weak. Most especially if you look at history of physical education. Yes, some of you, when I ask questions about those history, some of you find it difficult to answer those questions. So that's the reason why I included it, so that it will be able to help you. Then we'll be able to what? Delve into the areas, those history, how physical education started, how it began. So if you see the question anywhere in any examination, easily you can attempt the question. And that's the reason why all these areas of concentration has been drawn out, so that from there we'll begin to consider them one after the other in preparation for the exam. So you'll be adequately prepared, seasoned with necessary materials to be able to achieve the best. And I pray you will all achieve the best in Jesus' name. Now, let's continue with our class. So we can see introduction to physical education. There, we'll be talking about those areas I've mentioned, the definition of physical education, the objectives of physical education. We'll also be talking about the importance of physical education, which is also the same thing as the values of physical education. Forward, in the sense that I want us to have, in fact, if it can take a complete day, so I'll be able to delve into those history adequately, those names and the dates. Like I told you, when we are dealing with history, we talk about names because the two are what? A little bit close. 5 and 1. Those are the only changes there. So when you are able to separate aspect on its own, so the two now coming together, being integrated together, becomes a broad area in its field. Sports and games, so as to refresh our memory on those aspects of the course, the aspect of the subject that we have learned so far in our GSS 1 and GSS 2. Another thing is athletics. We're going to delve in events, you're jumping, persons are shouting, some persons are shouting. Please, that will not be entertained. Try as much as possible to concentrate adequately. Your speaker, check your speaker. And if it's the network, you try to move to a place where you can adequately get an enhanced network for you to hear me better. Now, let's quickly continue. Gymnastics to consider as well. The theories of movement.